You're watching Let the Quran Speak, and now we answer your questions. If you have a question, visit our website, QuranSpeaks.com. Okay, Dr. Shabir, the question is, I've heard that Islam places a lot of emphasis on a person's intentions. Why does it matter so much what's in your heart if your actions are good?
Yeah, so that emphasis comes, Safiya, mostly from Hadith and not so much from the Quran. In fact, if I remember my youthful days of when I first started to try to give sermons in mosques, and I'm preparing for my sermons, so I would try to find materials to back up whatever idea I had in mind to present. So if the idea is, let's talk about the importance of intentions, good intentions. So then I would be looking for verses of the Quran that would support the idea you need to have good intentions, and then, of course, hadiths to support the idea as well. And on most issues, you find more clarity in hadith. The hadiths expound things more. The Quran is very vague, sometimes elusive, and sometimes the hadith is more to the point often. But on many issues, there seems to be a grave difference between the hadith and the Quran, and this is one of those issues. Maybe grave is not the right term in this issue. The difference is there, maybe not so substantial as in some other issues, but let's look at it. If one wanted to prove from the Quran that you have to have good intentions the way that Muslims generally perceive today, and you wanted to prove from the Quran, what might you find? There is a verse that is mentioned in Surah Al-Bayyinah, the 98th chapter of the Quran, مخلصين له الدين, keeping the religion sincere for him. Now, this, of course, seems to speak about sincerity. You must have good intentions, a sincere intention to please God, and so on. But it's not so very clear, because it could be that you are worshiping God and God alone. وَمَا أُمِرُوا إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ. And they were commanded only that they should worship God, keeping the religion sincere for Him or pure for Him. We can connect this with Surah Al-Ikhlas, the 112th chapter of the Quran, which is called Surah Al-Ikhlas, which means the purity or the sincerity. And that reflects the idea that this surah so emphasizes the oneness of God. So our sincerity to God would mean that we have no other God but this one God. The presumption from the Quran seems to be that Muslims are sincere. If they are Muslims, then they are sincerely worshippers of the one God, and they're not turning to other gods or doing things for the pleasure of other gods, like sacrificing to other gods and so on. When it comes to giving charity, which is where the sincerity is being tested, because you can do charity for show, or you can be altruistic for a good name, and so on. The Quran in Surah Al-Baqarah speaks about some people ينفقون رئاء الناس. They're giving charity for showing people. وَلَا يُؤْمِنُونَ بِاللَّهِ وَلَا بِالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ, while they do not believe in God or in the last day. So you can see that this is a statement about the disbelievers, not about believers. Believers are presumed to have good intention to serve God. So it'll be hard to prove from the Quran the way in which Muslims perceive today of the intention problem. You have to have good intention. But
isn't it intuitively good to emphasize having good intentions?
Yes. Even in a legal sphere, we would not, consider a person criminally. We wouldn't mete out the same sort of judgment on the person if the person did not intend to do a crime, right? We distinguish, even in the Quran, you distinguish between accidental manslaughter and deliberate murder, and so on. So all of that is known. But hadiths have tended to emphasize the intention to such an extent that Muslims get very uptight about it. And for example, a hadith that says, إِنَّمَا لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مَّا نَوَى, every person shall have whatever they have intended. And other hadiths that speak about, if you think of pure milk and you mix some urine in it, this is like the bad intention that goes into there, right? You have something pure, but you have bad intention. So people have to now be checking their intentions all of the time. and doubting themselves, did I do that with a good intention? I would say that in the end, when we put all of this information together, yes, you are right in legal spheres and all of that. And just in general, yes, we should have good intentions. And we should be thinking of pleasing God alone. The Quran even emphasizes, وَمَا يُنْفِقُونَ إِلَّا ابْتِغَاءَ وَجْهِ اللَّهِ. They do not, believers only spend or give charity seeking the face of God. They do it for the pleasure of God and so on. So we should do things for the pleasure of God. But I just wanted to caution that we should not be so uptight about having good intentions all of the time, like thinking it through, is to the extent of doubting ourselves and being dissatisfied with what we have done, because looking back, maybe, just maybe, I had an element of show, especially like, let's say we're donating in public, or we're doing some good deed in public. Like, how are you going to hide that? How are you going to hide the fact that you're going to perform the pilgrimage and so on? In some things, it is even recommended that you publicize, especially when you're doing the obligatory acts of worship. So make that public. You go to the Jama'ah, or you join the public gathering. You gather in the mosque for Taraweeh prayers, and so on. You even go and visit your relatives before performing Hajj, seeking their forgiveness. So you're basically announcing, I'm going to perform the Hajj. But then if you're doing voluntary deeds, do it in private. You don't need to publicize that to all and sundry, because this is between you and God. So I'm only calling for balance, and I think the questioner was, in fact, prompting this sort of response as well.
All right. Thank you for those insights, Dr. Shabir.
You're welcome.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Muslim Media Hub, the new home of Let the Quran Speak.
Here we spread positivity and good. We help people experience the beauty of Islam and help them appreciate and understand Muslims.
This beautiful building we purchased at cost $2.3 million.
Yeah, we've already raised a third of that money, and with your help, inshallah, we can pay off the rest.
So we're looking for people who can give $1,000 each. If you can be part of the select group, that's amazing.
Otherwise, just please give whatever you can. Every dollar counts.
It's our collective responsibility to share the message of Islam with our fellow human beings. Please help us continue this good work.
It's a sadaqah jariyah, something that will continue to be a benefit to the Muslim community long after Safiya and I are gone.
Please support our work at muslimmediahub.com.
Your support is zakat eligible and tax deductible.
May Allah bless you and your loved ones today and always. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.